There's this little thing that they teach you in Boy Scouts, and it's called be prepared. Now, I was never a scout because I wasn't much for the matching outfits and some other issues. So I never learned that lesson. And that's why last week, when everything went ass up, I was ill prepared to deal with it. I had count my blessings if I can make it through a day unscathed, what with all the shit show that we're living in these days, right? Therein is the problem. Life comes at you fast and things are going to go south. And when they do, I did what I always do, which is no, I didn't run off to Cancun. I faced it. I called Edna, and she's a fellow self-employed small business owner, so she can empathize. She gets where I'm coming from. And there's, as always, much more to this story than what I'm leading you into. So let's get into it on the other side and get into some details. All right, I'll see you there. All right, welcome to a special edition of the Small Business Show. It's kind of a weird one because it's going to kind of come out of the rotation, but there was a challenge and an issue that came up, and I thought, hey, this is a great concept for a show, but not necessarily a kind of a unit and review thing. So it just kind of came off as a one-off. I'm E.H. Howard, and I'm your swanky host and a self-employed small business owner, probably just like yourself. All right, so like I said, it's a little bit different this week. I'm getting ahead of myself as I always do. So let's get into it, all right? So as I was saying, last week was kind of a little rough week for me. I had some issues with my website. It was kind of down for quite a few days, and it caused a lot of panic and stress. And there's a lot more to that story, and you can kind of see it in other things that I'm doing this week. I don't need to rehash the coroner's report with you. And it knocked me offline for a couple of days. And for most of us, our website is our store. That's how we engage and interact with consumers. That's how we get business to come in and product to go out. And so if things go offline, that's a problem. Now, it could be something as simple as maybe an hour, but this was a week-long thing. And so think about it. That's like putting a sign up on your door of your business and saying, come back later. Don't know when, but come back later. They're probably not going to come back. If they're a loyal consumer, casual consumer or super fan, they probably will. But your general consumer is going to be like, well, I can get it someplace else. I'll just go there, right? Now, not to overstate the obvious or address that elephant in the room, I was freaking stressing out. I was completely melting down, and I didn't realize till the situation was resolved how much of a hot mess I was and how much it infected everything around me. I was getting really short-tempered with people. I was kind of really like, why is everybody on the planet getting on my fucking nerves? I want to kill somebody. And I realize now it's because I couldn't solve that problem. I wasn't able to roll with the punches that came with something like that happening. It was kind of a real struggle for me. Now, you're probably nodding your head in solidarity because you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it has probably happened to you. And it might not be your site, it might have been a vendor running out of something that you need to make your products or your offerings. Maybe it was construction that's in front of your business and it was hard for consumers to get to you. Whatever it was, it is going to happen again. And other things are also going to happen. This isn't a one-off situation. We need to learn how to really deal with some of the stuff that comes at us every day. And when that happens, when things knock you down, that's okay, because you got to get back up. And when I get back up, I'm like, you need to bring it, because I'm ready to fight now. You may have knocked me down, but you're not knocking me out. And I'm going to come back twice as powerful as before. The problem is you gotta deal with it, all right? Now, when I first started out my business, I was one of those people that, when you're younger, we all do this. We kind of like, well, if I ignore it, it'll go away. And that's not how any of this works. That's not how any of this works whatsoever. And age and gray have given me the wisdom that I need to know that when I see a problem, as soon as I see it, as soon as it rears its ugly little head, I need to kick its ass. I need to get on top of it, and I need to stop it in its tracks before it snowballs into something bigger, because that is what's going to happen if you choose to ignore it. Now, I didn't get really into solving the problem because I wanted to get back to what I was doing, what I was loving. And so I kind of thought, well, maybe I can deal with it later. Maybe I'll deal with it tomorrow. But again, it was my website, and there was a lot of stuff that I had, content that needed to be uploaded. I had stuff. I needed to get that up and running. And so the two choices I had was, I can get up and fight, or I can wallow in negativity and pity and whatever, And I felt like wallowing in self-pity is probably not the best way to go. It's probably not the answer to the problem that I had. Now, the only way to get out of dealing with those feelings and those emotions is to get into a factual headspace. I had to kind of get out of the emotional and get into the factual as fast as possible. I needed to assess the problem, I needed to figure out potential solutions, and I needed to execute those solutions to figure out how to get things up and running. I mean, it took me a week to get things back up. If I had wallowed in self-pity, I would never have had the site back up. I would have just been depressed. I would have been like lying in my bed, curled up in a ball going, why is this happening to me? And I did nothing to correct it, and you need to correct it. All right. And again, that needs to come from a factual point of view, because there is always a solution if we can only see it. And you need to get out of emotional and get into factual in order to be able to see it. All right. So let's look at the examples that I kind of mentioned at the beginning again, and kind of look at how we can kind of get out of the emotional and into the factual with them. Now, for example, maybe it was a vendor that you were working with and they ran out of something that you needed, all right? It happens. It's, life is business. It's going to happen. It's not a deal breaker. It's not the end of the world, but you need to deal with it, all right? So the question then becomes, well, is there another resource you could use? Is there another vendor that you could purchase this from on an emergency basis until you can get this? Is there other things that you could use? Maybe, okay, ideally you really want this item, but this one is okay. It'll get the job done for this time. Then I can go back to the good stuff, all right? Maybe it's construction that's kind of blocking consumers from getting to you, or having consumers give challenges in getting to you. And that becomes a more interesting problem, because then you have to start to encourage them and incentivize them to deal with all of that bullshit to get to you. So you need to offer something that's going to be a really great return to them that says, hey, if you fight this traffic, you get 10% off, or get an extra something, whatever it is, you can incentivize it. Maybe encourage them to start purchasing online, if that's an option for you. Hey, I know it's hard for me to get to you, but buy online today, we'll give you 10% off, or buy today and we'll give you, whatever, you'll figure it out. The other thing is, you could figure out ways of, I know typically that the front entrance to the center is blocked, but there is a back entrance, all right? Take the back entrance, come in, it's another, maybe it's another minute longer drive for you, but that's okay. You'll get in, you'll get out, we'll give you all the stuff. Actually, there's less light, so it probably will be faster. But whatever you can do to get them to come in, you got to incentivize it, give them the heads up so that they can kind of navigate the situation. Now, in my case, it was my website, and what I had to do is I had to meticulously deconstruct it and reconstruct it step by step by step, piece by piece, until I found the problem. All right, it was a corrupted font way deep down in an email link thing that it would have taken me years to find it if I had just ignored it. Now, the problem was I couldn't upload it. I couldn't it was frozen. The program was not letting me do anything with this font. And so I had to meticulously open up a new file, copied, upload it until I found what was going through. And it took me days. Now, it wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't anything that I had a desire to do. It completely took me away from everything else that was going on that week, all right? I got nothing else done because anything that I needed to get done had to go on the website. And if the website was down and I couldn't upload to it, I couldn't get content out, right? So for me, that was a real problem. It put me in a holding pattern for a week until I figured it out. And it was just boom, boom, boom. Now, the other side to this is that would have been okay maybe if I'd had an assistant, or if I'd had some help, or I'd had some staff. I could have been like, all right, y'all need to figure this out because I'm going to go over here and I'm going to continue to write. I'm going to continue to shoot, whatever. You'll figure it out. I'm over here. But we are self-employed small home businesses. We don't have that luxury. We do not. It's all on us. So we need to solve our problems immediately, or else we're going to, and it's just the fact of life, unfortunately. Now, it all ended up resolving itself really well, but what it did teach me was we got to be prepared for life. We got to be prepared for things, because there are going to be things that are going to rock and roll us. They are going to knock us down. A pandemic, the economy. Those are just like the bigger things, all right? And those somewhat we can kind of take comfort in the fact that, hey, other people are suffering too. I'm not alone in this. When it's something like a vendor that isn't able to supply you with something, or your website goes down, or construction, those are out of our control sometimes, and it can be really overwhelming. So what we need to do is develop ways of saying, okay, I'm going to cut some of this stuff out. I'm going to simplify my life. I'm going to figure things out. And that's why all next week we're going to do the review. And all of that stuff, all the content next week is going to be about cutting out the unnecessary stuff and finding some balance in our life so that we can weather unnecessary things as they are swamping us, right? Because we're not going to get rid of them. They are going to keep coming. We just need to be better prepared for them, all right? So this has been a special edition of the Small Business Show. I'm E.H. Howard. As I said, leave comments below. I'd love to start a conversation, have a dialogue, get a good free exchange of ideas going, because we have all been in this situation. Every last one of us have had to struggle with something like this. So I'd like to hear what you have to say. Please don't be shy. As always, I want to thank you for your time, for watching the show and participating and spending a few minutes of your day with me. Always follow me on social media. Definitely check out my website. It's up and running. So yay, you get to do that. It's ehhoward.com. There you're going to find all kinds of great content for small home and self-employed business owners to really be the best businesses that can be. And I will see you next week with the content that is all about getting rid of unnecessary stuff, getting our lives clutter-free so that we can really focus on getting what we need to get done, so that we can better weather all the problems and challenges that come at us, and we can kind of simplify and find a little bit more balance in our life, because we just really need to stop working as much and kind of focus on some things that are important. All right, I'll see you in the next show.